Let's go ahead and open the brushes again and take a look at what we call the brush libraries. And in any particular brush category, you're going to find all the brushes that are available for you to use in Painter to create your next masterpiece. This happens to be the real watercolor brush category, and you'll notice that there are several brushes that you can choose from. So by simply clicking a brush, you're able to start painting and to begin your painting, and you can start on any particular layer that will allow you to paint on either the canvas layer or any additional layers that you've added. The one caveat would be the liquid ink and the real watercolor brush categories. These brushes, when you use them, will actually add a new layer called the watercolor layer or the liquid ink layer. When we take a little bit closer look at the layers panel, there's a layer at the very bottom called the canvas, and the canvas is a rectangular work area inside the drawing window whose size determines the size of the image you create. So the canvas acts as the image background, and unlike a layer, it is always locked. So if you're a traditional artist, quite often you're used to working on one particular layer and applying paint to either over existing paint or under existing paint, depending upon how you're working. But you can work very similar to this in Painter. Many times I like to work with, I'm going to go back to my charcoal and Conte and pick up the real hard Conte brush, and I'm going to set that brush back to its default size, and I'm going to make sure that I've got my color panel open here, and this way I can move the tick around and really select colors very specific to what I'm going to need for the painting that I'm doing. I can also use my Alt key, which will sample existing colors that are already in the image. So this is a great way to work when you need to perhaps sample a green and then bring the value up a little bit lighter to create some cast light on any particular part of your painting, such as the top of the tree, where I'd want the tone to be a little bit lighter and to have a darker value towards the bottom. And I can do that by just simply moving around the hue, saturation, and value triangle and be able to pick exactly the color that I'm looking for to get started with. Again, you can see how this brush really responds to paper texture. And remember, at any given time, you can actually change your paper texture and work with different paper textures to get started on as well. So if I wanted to enhance the sky, I could simply pick up a blue and maybe deepen it at certain points, use my Alt key and sample colors, and bring my brush size up. And it's just, is such a wonderful way to work. It feels so much like working traditionally. And when you give yourself the opportunity to just work very simply from the start, by simply choosing File, New, creating a new canvas to work on, then picking up a real hard Conte, or going over and grabbing a great pencil such as the 2B pencil right here, working with a grain setting and finding something that works the way you want it to look, get that color in, and you can see that this is a very, very realistic pencil and gives you a very, very traditional look. So File, New, go up to the corner here and open the drop down, go into your brush categories and libraries and create and just pick wonderful, wonderful brush variants to begin with, from real wet oils to pastels to chalks and crayons, and a great category called the artist category, which includes some wonderful impasto brushes, impressionistic brushes, and one of my favorite, these Sargent brushes, which include the Sargent brush, Sargent Super Jitter, and the coarse Sargent Super Jitter. All these brushes are absolutely amazing, and you're going to have more fun with them. The other brush that I'd like to mention here also that you're going to enjoy is the blender brush category. And one of my favorite brushes, one of my favorite blenders in this brush category is called the Grainy water brush. Most of your blenders will have what we call a resaturation setting on the brush's property bar. They are, for the most part, set to 0%, which means that when you use them, you're going to be blending the underlying pixels. However, these brushes also make great brushes for painting by simply bringing up the resaturation setting and using my Alt key to sample colors. I can use this brush actually to add color with as well. So any brush that you see out there that has a resaturation setting, you can oftentimes either take it down to 0 and use it as a great blender brush, or bring the resaturation up and use it as a brush to paint with.